enjoy the show. Play on Perjangers.
But did you guys get a chance to read the comic book and get a chance to get a feel for it?
Oh yeah, I loved this first issue was magical. I got
I
the
know you got a lot of questions.
Oh yeah, I got all the questions, and I really enjoyed it because we have the Heroic Awards coming up. They just
Hmm.
announced they're going to the Oklahoma City Comic Con, which I'm
Oh wow,
excited for. I
nice.
did the video, the intro and category videos for the Heroic Awards last year.
Oh, oh yeah, I was there last year. Kevin Gourlay,
Okay,
Ink Studios is actually doing my. They actually did this
nice,
Kickstarter for us. So
excellent.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So we've been working with them
I
with
can't
Kevin.
I can't wait to do the video again this year because
Hmm.
I get all the comics and I get to make all these awesome this awesome video. I got some ideas in my mind. Just
I
seeing
feel you.
all the announcements are really cool.
Yeah. What we've been doing for each show is, our Kickstarter is going live. We already funded already. I don't know if you had a chance to go on it already.
Yeah,
Deathblade is going.
absolutely. I loved your Kickstarter. I took a look at the video and
Yeah.
I looked at
What we're doing is, you know, what every show we're going on, for those fans or your fans, people who are following you guys or our fans following us, we've we have something going out today. What we were doing is anybody that pledges over $20, they get the Deathblade coin. If you go over like 95 or $100,
mhm.
you're getting a 13 by 19 poster of the cover A. It's a poster, so those are things that we're trying to do to push and try to.
I like the add-ons that you did.
There's one add-on. I know people with the STL, the 3D STL models.
Hmm.
I don't, if you pledged or anything, I put a newsletter out to our backers and I showed them what's going on. That was one of the reasons why we pushed back late because we were trying to get the models done.
Right.
And so people can see it. But Deathblade is done and Deathblade is freaking amazing. And of course, with Varen, who will be one of the characters in issues 2. And then, of course, the mysterious fighter that's kicking butt. You have M. That's the one that we're working on. We're trying to get that done. But hopefully, we'll have that done. I do have 3D models of them, but they're not the actual model design. So we wasn't sure if we want to put that up there because it would make sense. We didn't want to confuse
Mm.
people. Um, but yeah, those the STLs $20. If you have your own printer, 3D STL printer, you can uh, you can print it yourself,
Oh, that's awesome.
or if you want someone to print it for you, we have people that we can assign you to. You can send it and they can print it out for you. It'd be a cost, of course, but
Right.
you know, that's we want to do something different. I didn't think we needed to go all out and give golf clubs and all that stuff. That's not really
Yeah.
what we wanted. We wanted something smaller. We wanted to build that, and that aura of Deathblade. We wanted to keep it simple, and I don't think we need to do anything crazy.
Yeah.
I'd be honest with you. I feel like there's a couple things I'm going to do for the next one, but hey,
Right. Well, I mean, just a little tchotchke for somebody to be able to just take that home and say, no, this was from the Kickstarter for issue 1. I got this one. Something so that
right,
way it's another bit of the collection for them to keep.
right. Oh, we got some. We're going to have some nice stuff. I don't know if you. I'll share with you guys the 3D models. Wait till you see 3D models. You're going to be like, what? That's crazy. Uh,
3D models are great.
and I just got the books back for the models and stuff. I was on Comic Lords last night.
Okay.
Um, had a chance to show them the books, but we did the foil one for the one that we're doing the poster on. This is the foil one. This one, man, this one just blew me away.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love that. That is great.
everyone think it's manga, and you know what? And it wasn't. It was kind of weird because it looks like manga, and I can see why everyone loves it. It was just amazing. It's different. You wouldn't expect that. And then, of course, we have the regular cover. This is just the regular cover on this for that's A. And then this is by Oscar Pinto from DC Comics. This is his. It's a wraparound.
Okay. There we go. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is nice. And then we have from Image, we have Leo, and this one's a nice one too. This is a wraparound. This one is nice.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, wow. I love
And
that
then it's
sword on the front.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so we just got them back. We just got to do, I think, a few little adjustments on the logos, and we're good to go. So, like I told we're trying to tell people you don't have to wait, but we don't know the way this economy is and the way this president's been acting. I'm not sure if we're gonna. Yeah. I'm not sure if we're gonna get stuff on time. It's just crazy.
Well, I noticed that you already hit your goal on Kickstarter, and that was the thing that impressed me was also the stretch goals and how much that actually benefits the rest of everybody who's investing in the comic here, because I saw the 2,500 goal already hit. Diary of Sweet Pea. Love that comic, especially with my man Aleem Legit.
Yes, and Aleem is our art director. He's our art director, and he just finished. I think the latest for Sweet Pea, with Diary of Sweet Pea. He just finished it.
Ooh, thank God. Yeah, he's my co-host on Dope or Nope podcast on this network, which I love. We love Aleem over here, especially his comic. I can't wait for his third. I can't wait to see what he comes up with, especially
it's nice
having that unlocked for people who are already interested in your comic. All right, and here's these other projects, because I saw you were at like 2,800 here, and it goes up. The next one unlocked here is Redemption and Warlash.
Yeah.
So I'm interested just by those two cover photos that you have on your Kickstarter, just of those two alone, which is very interesting. And just giving the next one outside of that is The Killing Machine, number 1 and 2, giving fans other amazing comics that they're going to see the Kickstarters out. They're going to support them as well, because, hey, I already got 1 and 2. Well, I might as well keep going.
Well, see, this is the thing, like I told them, I know how some creators, they feel like they're competing. I don't feel like I'm competing. I feel that there's room for everybody. I feel, we have to support each other.
That's really what it comes down to.
To support each other.
Yeah. I mean, even through it all, that's what it's about. It's what one of our core values on Perjangers and Wallhangers is to build each other up. That old saying of a rising tide lifts all shifts. So
it's just getting above those trees, because I feel for indies, and it's kind of funny. I have a marketing degree, so when I finished my book, I kind of had a plan of how I was going to go about it. But I can see how indie creators, after they're done with their book, they just want to get out. They just want to get on the Kickstarter and do. But you can't do that. You got to give your comic book room to breathe so people can see it. Because if they don't see it, then what good is it?
Yeah.
Like I told someone, I said, I know we were supposed to start in February, but we just didn't meet those measurements. And part of those measurements was I needed time as we were advertising and marketing and promotions and trying to get above the trees, because there's millions of guys like me. So I have to be able to let people see me. And I feel that once people see Deathblade, they see this guy back here.
Oh, yeah.
It changes the game, because they're like, okay, I'm curious about what this is. And it's funny, a lot of them have a preconceived idea of who he is. And, I laugh at it because I think it's funny. And I'm like, you guys have no idea what you guys thinking what you think. But like I was telling Black Comic Lords last night. I was like, I'll let you think you know what you're talking about, and it's really not.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's really not. You know, you're not really not what you're thinking. You know, and I like how Chuck Panal is our editor, and
Mhm.
I like how he said it. He said, "Look, you see references, and that's it. So you just reference it. You may think that, but even that, don't fool yourself because there's more to it. And like I tell people, there's more. And if you're reading it, you're going to read it a couple times because you feel you missed something. But there's also things in the art that we have kind of set little spoilers that if you really pay attention, you're going to be like, "What's that? Oh, I didn't see that."
Mhm.
Or little things. We did little things, and so I'm excited. I'm excited to share that. And our goal, like I said, our goal is to get 100 pledges, and we're almost there.
Yeah.
We're at 72, so you
Um,
know.
that's a great goal. I mean, the overall comic, even as I'm looking at it, the first couple pages, you don't need any dialogue. As I'm going through, you don't need any, like, at all, until you get to page 5, and I'm like, well, yeah, here I could legitimately see needing some kind of dialogue, but even still, it's not massive paragraphs and
Yeah,
paragraphs of
yeah, we're not
it's
doing that.
short, sweet, concise, to the point, and the work is really in the artwork, because you
There
start
you
off
go.
this
You
comic
figured.
and it just evolves with it. And
There you
even
go.
just once you get to the main character and how he's struggling with PTSD as
Mhm.
this big thing in the forefront of his mind, dealing with it, having a strong
Lone
woman
survivor
behind
too.
him,
So
and it's something that really sets him apart in this story. You want more from him just off this first little tasting of it. And even how
right.
it ends on a cliffhanger. Love that.
Mhm.
It got me wanting to go back, especially right before this interview, to go back and just
Mhm.
check out all these pages. Like, all right, well, let me look at this here. Let me look back here. The one page that really stuck out to me was page 23, where
Okay.
it's just the collage of all these murders. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, that's
Ah,
Yusuf Shittal. Remember that name.
mm-hmm.
That's Alim's boy. That guy, man. That shot. If you saw the script of how it was described, it was amazing. One of the things that I was telling people, and I'm pretty sure you noticed it, is it's not our book is not really your regular comic book.
Yeah.
It's really a cinematic comic book because it's
Yes.
really based on the pictures. And horror doesn't really have splash pages, but you saw that's a rule we broke.
Oh
We
yeah.
broke that rule, and we said, hey, it wasn't going to be a lot, but it was going to be something that was going to be monumental
Mm-hmm.
in how we presented it and how we laid it out, and it worked beautifully.
Even just your
It worked
panels.
beautiful.
Your panels in and of themselves, it starts off kind of traditional looking, like, oh, okay, look at this. This is nice. But by the time I'm looking at these panels and I'm like, man, this is expertly placed. Even my favorite, page 23,
Uh-huh.
it just, what you're saying in that panel. And
Mhm.
oh my God, he's doing this. And from a character's perspective in that cinematic film that's going off in the reader's heads, these people are watching a video of people getting
Exactly.
brutally
Yeah.
murdered. And they're like, oh my God. And somebody just sent them this. So
Yeah.
you're just going along with this. So that's where looking at it, and I have looked at it, and my co-host who's having technical problems, Frank, he's always messaged me and told me, man, I can't see the film that's going on in your head. And that's how I see a lot of these comics, is these pages come alive to readers. And
There
especially
you go.
this one, it
Mhm.
really draws you in with the panels, the artwork, just being able to stare at a page and look and just see what is being intended in
Yeah.
this page.
I think my favorite one is next to the last page,
Mm-hmm.
is where you see that mysterious character where he's just, he's about to leave and then the phone rings and then all of a sudden you see his head turn around. So
Yes.
that's kind of like, that's a spoiler. But there's so, like I said, there's so many things in this book, man,
Mhm.
and I have to give Brian Cochran I have to give him his flowers. He nailed it. He nailed it because that's one of the things
Oh,
we
yeah.
wanted to do. We wanted to we wanted to challenge the readers. We wanted you to challenge us, but we were going to be intentional. We wanted every page that you were looking at,
Mhm.
you're looking at what happened on this page, what happened on this page. And by the time you're done, you're like, this is over. This is it. Okay, I'm ready for more. It's like crack. You
Yeah.
just be like, boom, well, steroids. I won't use crack, but it's like steroids
Yeah.
on a thing. But it's like candy. It's just like once you eat the candy, you be like, oh, that's good. I want more. I want more. And then
Mhm.
that's, and I can tell you, book issue 2 and 3 is off the chain.
I
We're about
believe
to
it.
take it. We're about to take it to a whole nother level. And your guys gonna be like, it's gonna be more protagonists, more characters are gonna dive in as we tell the story. And one of the things is we didn't want to throw up on the table because I feel sometimes as new creators we get caught up or we just throw everything on the table and
Yeah.
it's like muddled.
Yep.
And and that's where I really love how Chuck Pinall, really our editor, he really helped us pace that. And we said,
Mhm.
look, you're not going to be able to tell about all of your story, but tell enough to start the beginning. Then as you guys see it, the criminals and everything are going to come. Certain people are like, hey, what's this guy is kind of shady. You know, she knows he's shady. You know what I'm saying? Those
Yes.
type of things. So those are things you're going to see. Those are things you're going to find out. And I'm just excited, man. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for people who read this book. And I feel as the word gets out about this book, it's gonna be it's gonna be a doozy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because even when you look at just in the beginning, you're starting off with very classic superhero type with your the character coming out and flying through the sky, demolishing these hell beasts with wings, and then going to page 5, or I'm sorry, no, 6, where you see the temple
Right.
in Guatemala. And you're like, oh, okay. So you're tying into the past. You have a lot of questions that really just, it'll make readers go, okay, yeah, but what about these? I have these questions that I need answered. And,
Right.
in 2 and 3, it's probably not going to be enough to answer those questions, but they are going to sink deeper into that quicksand happily.
Exactly. There's a lot of things we're going to tie in. I'm just excited, man. I'm excited about it. Someone asked if we were going to do animation. I said we are doing animation. That is part of one of our projects, but it won't be on the current. It will be a prequel before this book,
Awesome.
which is
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that Joker is nasty. That's all I can tell you. That's all I'm saying right now. But like I said, we've really been pushing in a lot of this financial um bear that we put into this. I
Mm-hmm.
told people are not going to invest in you if you don't invest in yourself. And
Yeah.
we spent a lot of money for this book, and it's not your normal indie book. That's why I
Right.
tell people it's not your normal indie book. I mean, Aleem, Chuck Pinall, um, you know, that team alone, you know, killing it. Then I got Angel Perry, who's our consultant, our logistic person. She's well known in the comic community. So,
There was
you know,
another name that stood out to me. Where did I say? Oh, Yusuf. I was
yeah,
pretty sure I saw his name on a Leem's comic.
yes,
Yes.
he's the guy. He's the guy.
Yes.
He's the line art guy. He
That's
did
where I
everything.
saw that, and I was like, "Oh, okay, all right, well, yeah." That's why there's just a feel to this book that it just feels so familiar to me, and you can pick up artists' work,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I love the line art. The colors, especially, are just
Mhm.
fantastic. Um,
Yes.
especially just how you sell in the latter part of the comic. Just the colors in a dark scene it can often be lost. But,
Right.
you know, when you're sitting there with the pen in your hand, like, which one, you try to pick the right one, okay? Because that's where, looking through, even when I was doing the Heroic Awards videos last year, it was something where, all right, this is being nominated for color. Why? This is being nominated for story. Why? Line art. Why? And I got to look through like, oh, wow, this is actually, and it helped myself as a reader be able to really nerd out and get more involved in the comics themselves, especially
And
picking up names.
and sometimes I think sometimes writers we think we kind of outsmart ourselves sometimes it's good to just it's good to be simple. Like when you saw him go into that warehouse, you saw how the colors, how they were dark, and you literally, I'm seeing that in like real life. I'm imagining, I'm like, as I'm reading this, I'm seeing this. And then you see his expressions on his face. And that's the thing I like, the expressions, the environment. You can just feel the tension. Like when the temple, you saw when the soldiers came in, you see that sound going off. And then you see when they come in and the thing just takes over and then they
Yeah.
just can't. That's the horror, the grind. We wanted people to feel that tension, and
There
I
is a
feel
lot
that
of suspense in this.
yes,
A lot of
yes,
suspense, but even, you know, you're starting off with the action and then you're getting into, all right, well, here are the characters. You almost feel safe, like, oh, whew. Then she meets this little slime ball and you're like, all right, hang on, man, what's going on here? No, don't go in the warehouse. And it's brilliant as an introductory because it makes me want to keep reading. This is one, if I
right.
saw it in the compendium, and I'd be like, oh, okay, what's this? Let me see a whole chunk of life, and now let me go through it. I'm a compendium reader, but this is why, because I get into these stories, and I'm like, all right, I have to know what's next. So that's where it's like, yeah, well, I gotta know what's next. So next page, please.
And it's 32 pages of action. You normally don't get that, so you know.
When 32 pages isn't enough, that's a good
That's
problem.
that's what I know. A lot of people have said that. They said, Ed, you should have did 60. I said, guys, we did 60. You guys would have been asking for 100. You
Yeah.
know.
Oh yeah. Where's the 120? You know, you want you gotta not listen to the fans at a certain point because it'll be hell on your wrist, and they will want a compendium a week.
Oh yeah, definitely. So we're definitely excited about it. We definitely we feel we felt we have something. We knew we kind of had it. And I got to tell people too, this 3D character was done by a group over in UK that does all work for DC and Lucasfilms.
Okay.
They've
Oh
done the
wow.
Star Wars films. Uh, Ruben Alba from Spain
Oh wow.
drew this for me, and he's worked on. I mean, they've done work on the latest stuff that's out right now.
Oh
So
yeah. Wow. That's great. And it's
yeah, and I
great
paid a lot of
artwork.
money. I paid. It was not cheap. Let's put it
I
like
can
that.
imagine.
It was not cheap. I paid a lot of money for it. Um, and the color that you can see here,
Mm-hmm.
he's black, but here we have him on where he's purple. We wanted something different,
Right.
and we were going back and forth on that. And I think the purple just pops. It's
Yeah.
royalty. It seems royalty, and it's different, and it seems iconic. That's the thing that I really like about it. That you guys going to see even a little bit more details of him in issue 2. Um,
Excellent.
so so
Yeah.
there's a lot. There's a lot. There's so many things that you're thinking right now. You're
Yeah.
thinking, oh, Ambrose is this. There's so many things that you guys, once we reveal, you're gonna be like,
Yeah.
you guys really did that or something like that. Yeah, we really did that. We were in the kitchen cooking. We were, we did our homework.
I mean, this is exactly why this is where nerds need to get into. Basement issue number 1 right here with Deathblade, because when you hear other fans react, you're gonna wish you got in here, and you wish you got the Kickstarter tchotchkes, and you wish you got all this stuff. This is why we have such amazing creators on the show, because when you have a good idea, especially like Deathblade, like this, it's once again non-formulaic. It's not Captain America. It's not Spawn. It's not this treasured IP in nerdy history that nobody's allowed to touch, like the china in your mother's dining room. This is our nice china for people to look at, not for you to touch. You just look at this and stay in awe. And that's where a lot of nerds have these harsh opinions and feelings online when new stuff comes out, because you're messing with my treasured memories. You can't do that.
Yeah, and it's funny though, because I know I had a lot of people say, "Well, he looked like Spawn." I was like, "He looks nothing like Spawn." You guys look at. There may be some references. Yes, I'm a huge Spawn fan, but that's about it. As someone said, he looked like Batman. I was like, "You guys are funny."
No.
Some people, we were on Black Comics last night, Comic Lords, and she was saying you're going to have certain people that are going to say certain things and they're just haters. You just have to be able to just avoid the noise.
Yeah.
You just have to avoid the noise. And I want them to think that. So I said, okay, so if you think that, so read the book and then tell me, do you still think he's that? Because and one of the things I tell people is these are not heroes. They're not anti-heroes. They're just people who have abilities, who are put in a situation you're either going to swim or you're going to drown. Okay? Now, the scary part, like you said, the suspense, it's all building up. Like the temple, we don't show everything, but we will show what happened. You guys will see what will happen, and it's going to freak you out too. So it will let those things that we're just setting up. It's like Hitchcock. It's like Vertigo.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, and I tell people, if you like Interstellar, we kind of took some of that. If you really look at it, we took some of that. So you're going to see that, and because this guy is not just bothering him mentally, you're going to see the physical that's going to take effect of him. It's going to affect him and stuff like that. So there's a lot.
There's a lot of buildup. As I'm even looking through this temple scene, because you're saying, "Oh, we didn't show you anything," and I'm looking through and I'm looking here, and then I see like reaction shot, and I'm like, "Oh, he didn't really show me a lot," but the artwork, once again, you feel like you get so much information, and you piece it together in your brain, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, ritual. All right, there's the whole little pool here. Okay, yep, and then everybody dies. But there's a lot there to be unpacked. So I can definitely, I can see where, and it's, once again, attributing to the artwork of it, especially page 13. And now your turn. And you're just like, oh my gosh, you flip the page and you just change the rhythm. And the whole pace of the story is it's as uneasy as you want it to in issue 1, because you want to make sure you cover enough ground that people are going to want you to do another issue. And
that was the main thing. It wasn't about, when I tell people, it wasn't about me. It wasn't about my vision. It was about, hey, this is a great idea. This is a vision. This is a script. That's why the script took 3 years to develop. My team, my other partner, Philip Maddox, and Emmanuel Echa from Nigeria, who actually, we have 3 other IPs already finished.
Oh wow!
Part of our universe is already done.
Wow.
But we're like a year or 2 away from revealing those, because how we have our Deathblade as a tent pole, there's certain factors that will bring different worlds that you will bring in. So we're really pumped on that. But yeah, we believe in development. We didn't rush it, but it's not going to take us 3 years to do this. But I think it took longer because, first of all, this was our first try at it.
Yeah.
So the suit that we had, the first suit that we had, he was putting it on, and we was like, they're not going to buy that. I mean, that's kind of crazy. That's kind of like DC and Marvel. And they're like, well, it's horror, so they're going to put their suit on. Why?
Yeah, no.
If it's something that's horror, it's going to freak. It comes from within.
Yeah.
It comes from within that person, within that ability. So this suit that you're seeing, this it's not a suit. This armor that you're seeing, it resembles something more than just the armor.
Right.
It's more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's part of the curse. It's part of the agreement that they have made. Deathblade has made to, like I tell people, he kills evil and diabolical evil. I'm not talking about evil where somebody rob a store and then
Right.
evil. No, I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about scary evil.
They told me to go to Cash App. No, not that kind,
No,
but
not that kind.
Yeah, the real debility. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and the thing is, evil draws him. So if Spawn was to come down, Spawn will come to him, and he will kill Spawn on the
Okay.
spot.
Right.
And like I told some people, I say, look, he's not invincible. And that was another thing too. And that's something else you guys are going to see in issue 2 that we're going to show a little bit more.
Mhm.
And I cannot wait. You guys see that, you guys be like, this is going to be crazy.
See, that's fun though, especially for readers when you know they're not invincible. Because
Right.
when they're invincible, it's there's almost that safety net there of
It's the Superman syndrome. The Superman syndrome.
everything's gonna be fine. But when they're not, even if they're the main protagonist, you're sitting there like, all right, my guy, how you getting out of this one, bud?
Exactly.
It's the Sherlock Holmes syndrome of how'd you do it? How did he survive?
Exactly. So
It's
ready?
one of the things that I did like here is not only just the stretch goals, which is something that it adds a level to it of that I haven't really seen on Kickstarter. And you think, you see one Kickstarter, you've seen them all.
Right.
Not since I've been looking at them. And each one have thought of different kind of things in there to get people excited, especially like your stretch goals of extra comics. But the 3D, that's going to be the the thing that fans really latch on to, I think, because being able
we
to
haven't
get
really
that,
had it. Yeah, we haven't had a chance to really show the 3D model. I sent out a email to the backers on it, showing them the 3D model, but I think we're going to do a little bit more on that, advertising that more. Say, hey, look, you got this, but you may want, if you have a 3D STL printer, or someone who has one who could print it for you, or if you want us, we'll supply a list of people that can actually print it out for you.
I mean, that's the best way you could do it. Especially, it's doing everything but sending them the printer.
Yeah, I mean, we were gonna make some, but it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, I saw when Wesley Snipes did his, and they lost their shirts. So
Yeah,
yeah,
but
they
if
lost
you
their
got
shirts.
it, you know what I mean. That's a
They
good
lost their
option to
shirts
have
big
because
time.
somebody maybe
Yeah,
they have it and they're like, you know
yeah.
what? All right, I'll do it for that. Let's go. And
So
then they
yeah.
have that little figurine because once again, that's a special level of customizing that I think it adds to the collection, especially
Right.
when you're a fan of it. You have that person. It's like a personalized item for you.
Mhm.
And that's the best part of going on to the Kickstarter and getting that, and especially the different levels of packages that you have on here so that everybody has, you feel like you're really getting a lot
There
with
you go.
these.
That's what we want. I was looking at. I turned around and looked at other Kickstarters, and I was seeing where, hey, they weren't really getting the books. You pay $20, you're not getting the book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so I said, look, $20, they're gonna get a book, they're gonna get digital. We'll give them some things that make them, feel worthwhile. And then the other part we'll just leave a la carte. So
Hmm.
they can choose like the trading cards. Trading cards are nice.
Oh, yeah.
Um, um, the fat heads, you see the two fat heads, M and Deathblade. We also have a Deathblade wristband. Um, we have, we have it all. Just the stickers. We got the stickers,
Oh, yeah.
Deathblade stickers. We have the Deathblade pad for your mouse,
Hmm.
pad for your
The
laptop or
trackpad,
computer,
yeah.
trackpad. We got that. So, and we have the poster that you saw that we're going to do for Cover
And
A.
the three different covers that you were showing off earlier, I'll add in the images of them here in the podcast as well, because the covers themselves are impressive. I love what you did with the covers, because that really, it draws people in. You know, that was one of the things when I was a kid that used to really piss me off, is that these covers used to be so amazing, and then you'd open up the comic and it would be like a fraction of the effort for in the actual artwork. I'm like, dude, how fast did you have to make this?
Right. And see, that's one of the reasons why we said our art has to be like 100%, period. It's got to hit. And, I got to give credit to Aleem and them, Yusuf, Alfred and them, and then also uh, when Philip came back, my partner came back, he started helping out on a lot of things that we were trying to make sure was cool, was flowing and stuff like that. But yeah, one thing you're going to notice, our artwork, I don't think there's an equal. There's some good stuff out there,
Oh yeah, but I mean,
but I just think when it comes to just pure, just you know, art and how we flow it and how we work it, the colors. And one thing that I did like, I don't know if you saw, they had the part where they're in a temple and you see that green tint, like it's like
yes.
their guns. That right there, you don't see that.
No.
I've never seen that. It's usually red or it's usually orange or something like that.
Yep.
But when he showed me that, I was like, dude, this is on point.
Oh yeah.
Anyone reading that will feel that, would be like, these guys. You feel like you're looking through a scope and you got the goggles on and you're seeing.
Oh yeah.
That's
I loved especially that one, because it really kind of sold the like special ops. This is, and then when you look back on it, oh man, this kind of really brings it back to a memory of reliving, and it really backwards and forwards. That's how you know you have a really good comic that is going to be. I'd be surprised if you don't go over 100 issues. You know, like, nah, we're gonna stop at 100. We've had enough success. I don't need another Porsche. Bye, guys, we're done.
right.
All the
No,
movie franchises were enough. You know, I mean, I can see that, because this is the stuff that I've been talking about, especially with indie, content creation in and of itself. This is the spawn of, this is why people are going to indie, because there is that attention to detail. You pick up a Marvel comic tomorrow and you're going to look at that face like, I could have drawn that. There's no part of this comic book that I look at and say, oh, I could have drawn that. Never in my lifetime. There's a level of professionalism to it, which
right. That's the thing. It's the detail within the face, the facial structure, which we wanted it to be. We also, people understand, we also created layers. We have some motion comics that will be coming out soon as well. We're working on it. Dude, it's wicked.
Okay.
You thought you liked the trailer. You ain't seen the motion comic. We're working on that now.
That's a whole other animal that I know a lot of people want to get into. They want to get into the motion comics and the animation. And I started off my writing journey doing an animated web series called Tales of the Morgue, Unfortunate Deaths in Unfortunate Ways. I wrote the second episode. I wrote and directed the second episode, and I produced the first. And the second episode was Until Death, and it was 2.5 minutes long, because that shit was expensive. We got like a Russian artist.
Oh, it did.
And it was still expensive. I mean,
did you go through Fiverr?
Yeah.
Or how did you?
Yeah.
I use Fiverr. That's my secret, man. That's my secret.
You could get some good talent. I mean, it's freelance work for them. Hey, man, I got this project. Cool. And it's the cheapest way.
You got it. Yeah, you got it. For me, when I use Fiverr, for some of the stuff that we were doing, that's how I got my writers. That's how I got Brian.
Okay.
I got him through Fiverr. I interviewed him.
Mm-hmm.
I interviewed him and other people, um, and he's been with me the longest. This is actually his first book that he's actually getting credit for. He's written for many comic
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
books, and so he's this is his first one, and I told him he earned it.
Yeah,
He earned it.
that ugly dragon in the room that sometimes pops up in the comic industry of the
Yeah,
uncredited,
yeah.
person. You know.
He's a ghostwriter, and I told him, I said, dude, you're not going to be a ghostwriter. Your name is going to be on there, and rightfully so. He earned it, and I'm proud of him. He's also got a movie that's coming out as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's his time, and I'm very happy that that he's getting to do that he deserves. He's had bestsellers, but no one knew that he was the writer. So
Oh yeah.
you know,
Struggle of
that,
the
you know,
writer, man. I'm fucking happy for him myself.
yeah. So he's getting his name out there, Cochran, and he's definitely a hard worker, and you guys can see the thing that I like about him, um, how the script was written. It was really crisp. The action scenes, the details, the breath. If you see him breathing, he was just
Mhm.
it was just there. You know what I mean? And that helped Alfred, and that helped Yusuf and them to depict it and draw it the exact same way. And it just made it awesome. And then part of the awards that I'm not sure if you saw, we have a sketchbook called a director's cut. And we're going to have all the sketches that we did for the book, and you
Love
guys will
that.
see that. You
Love
will see
that.
the first Deathblade suit to where we are now,
Oh, I love
um,
that.
and then um, you guys, we're going to give you the first 10 pages of the script of Deathblade.
That's awesome. Some of my favorite comics that I have, whether compendium or
Mhm,
individuals, they have script, they have sketches in the back. That
mhm,
helps, especially one of the first times that I had when I had to write a comic book script was for Frank.
mhm,
It was
mhm,
Chronicles, Caribe the Hunted's side story, Chronicles of the
mhm,
Hunted, that I wrote,
mhm.
and looking it up and looking up all these different comics that I love and comparing the scripts and going through that.
Right.
It's a part of the comic book industry that not a lot of people really appreciate how the bread is made there, and
Yeah.
how
Okay.
crucial that is to
It is.
helping the artist, and how you're mentioning, like, yes, the writing absolutely made it so much easier for your artist to really depict and show exactly what the thought was.
Right. And it's kind of funny because the compendium for us, I built my universe. We're building based off horror. Um, and like I told people, our book, as you can see, it has a suspense, it has its sex scene, but our sex scenes are not something that, oh wow, we're gonna sell and pitch it. No, that's not it. It's part, if it's not
Hmm.
part of the story, it doesn't belong there.
It was
But
very tasteful too. That was the thing that I
thank
liked
you.
about it. It wasn't just for fanboys' sake. It was,
Yeah,
no, this is a man struggling, and what better way for a man to be struggling with his partner, his co-pilot? No, we
there
got
you go.
this. We're
You
going
got
through
it.
this together. It was a very touching and character building scene. You see
Yeah,
why these two work. This is
right.
their relationship, and you get that sense. It was very well done. I love those scenes. They were very well
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, she's also MJ is also a top lawyer. She's up and coming lawyer. She's big time. You can tell when she's in the office, when McLaughlin came in, you could tell where he was, he likes her. You can tell he's like, oh, too bad you're married. And she's like, and she shows the ring, I'm married,
Hmm.
whatever. Get
Yeah,
out of here.
yeah. Bye
He's that
bye.
type of guy, but you're not sure who that, the audience is probably thinking, who is this McLaughlin guy?
Hmm.
One of the things that you see is hey, there's her dark side to him. He's kind of shady, and she knows he's shady, and she calls him out on it. She,
Yeah.
said, look, you're going to be accountable for it. What are you talking about? And you ain't going to be making me do something for you. And of course, you find out. she doesn't know that, Ambrose, planted something, and so drew
Yes.
him to where, the end. I'm not going to give, I
Yeah.
let people read it, but you know, all that combination of how this story will flow and how the story will work, and we're going to keep with the story.
Hmm.
And one thing that I do promise, we're not going to have multi universes. I just think that's just, I mean,
Okay.
how many times can you
Yeah.
tell Spider-Man and Superman and
And this is
Batman
what
and all that?
happened if he was his mother. Like, okay, guys, calm
We're
down.
not doing
Yeah.
that. We're
Yeah.
not doing that. That's,
Good. I can appreciate
that's,
that. No
we
multiverse.
have there's no
Jesus.
interest in that. It's
Especially
just, to
after
me, it's
Invincible,
confusing.
like, guys, I'm multiversed out. I'm tapped out. All right. You
Yeah.
guys could think of a different.
And actually, the book, the movie, they did Invincible, how the if you saw the comic book, they had how the stories stacked to each other.
Mhm.
We're following in that way.
Robert
So
Kirkman is always a smart man to
mhm,
follow after. I mean,
yeah.
I fucking love Robert Kirkman.
Mhm.
The Walking Dead, those comics were what
Oh yeah.
got me into comics again. I was in my, late 20s and my friend said,
Mhm.
"Oh, you like The Walking Dead? Read the comic." And he was right. It was almost like a religious experience. It was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing compared to the show."
Right.
And then I got into that. Well, the book's better. I'm now that
Mhm.
guy. But Game
Yeah.
of Thrones, 100%. R.R. Martin should
Oh
just quit bullshitting and finish the goddamn book. But that's
yeah.
me.
And see, yeah, that's one of the things that we want to do. We wanted this book to resonate with the readers. And I have to give credit to Jibba Moley Anderson from Grioot Comics. Um, he was the first one to see the script, and he pretty much laid into me. He was like, "Are you playing with me right now?" He said, "This is trash." I was like, "Dang, got it." But the thing that I have so much respect for him is after he scolded me, he said, "Okay, now this is what you need to do. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need this. Why should I care about Ambrose? Why should I care about this
Hmm.
Deathblade? Why does this story even make sense to me?" Then sit down. He says, "This is what I would do," and I have the utmost respect for him
Yeah.
because he didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Could have just left me down there. I've been, a lot of people was like, "This trash, I ain't gonna do that."
Hmm.
No, no, that showed me the type of person that he is. And, he challenged me. I'm the type of person, I'm not, I don't take myself too serious. You
Hmm.
know, I'm no better than the next person. I'm a dreamer just like everyone else. Um, but one of the things that I really respected about him that he found about me is I don't, I don't get mad when people say no.
Hmm.
I need you to tell me what I did wrong and how I can fix it.
Right.
So all he did was light a fire under me. And I was like, okay. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm a Superman fan. I grew up on Superman. When Superman first, Christopher Reeves is my first Superman and only Superman. Period. He's the best actor that can actually play Superman with comedy and with seriousness at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
Carville,
I mean, we'll see how
no.
Corn Sweat does, but
But
I'm hopeful. But
Christopher
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 Reeves,
Reeve. Yeah.
I wasn't the biggest Henry Cavill fan. I mean,
Mm.
what Zack Snyder did got a lot of the fanboys' hearts, but it wasn't really
Mhm.
my Superman either.
Right.
My Superman and
And
Batman are from the animated series.
yeah, yeah. Christopher Reeves is my Superman. That's who I grew up on. And that's how my kind of story began when I, started wanting to make my own comic book. My friend, you know, I'm, uh, you know, I'm a 70s and 80s and 90s type person. And I call those the golden years of comic books.
Oh yeah.
Because, you want to talk about originality, Jack Kirby,
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
the
that's
new
exactly when you
gods.
got it.
I mean, like, man, oh, I mean, Captain America,
Hmm.
um, um,
And now you look at those same lines, if they're still around, of all those greats, and
hmm,
they're not like they were. And there
right.
is a bit of that, kind of, bottlenecking there to where not
Hmm,
you gotta fit into this role again. But that's where the indie market, you haven't heard of these people,
yeah,
you haven't
yeah,
heard of these stories,
exactly.
but you will get the feel of, oh, all right, this kind of feels like this. Oh, well, this kind of reminds me of this, though. And I don't know how to can interpret this. This is something brand new. It's an amalgamation of everything. And that's the best part about it, because I think that's really where the focus on indie comes from. It's that you don't know what's going to truly come next because you don't know anything about it.
Right. You're not in that. And, you know, when I was a little kid, my dream job was to work at Marvel. I'm going to work at Marvel. I'm going to write for Marvel. You know, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. If you ask me right now today, I will tell you there's no way in God's green earth I'm going to go work for Marvel. Period. Will never happen. Will never happen. I'm indie 100%. You know, like I told someone, I'm tired of seeing the same Supermans being restarted. DC didn't need to restart Superman.
Right. At all.
He didn't need to. They didn't need to do all that. Now, I think Gunn is he has kind of a jerky type of style.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when he did Suicide Squad and stuff like that, and he did, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy, which I thought was amazing.
Oh, Guardians one was fantastic.
Amazing. The only one I didn't really like was the second one.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't get that. I understood it because it's a comic book, but it was just kind of weird.
Yeah, it was weird. Oh, it was weird.
It was just weird. I was like, okay, that was all right. But
I'm not gonna lie, I did rewatch the Guardians Christmas special this past year though, because I was like, hey, if we're gonna make anything a tradition, I mean, why not Kevin Bacon?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Yeah, but you know, that was one of the things, you know, my friend told me I wore a Superman suit and he said, you can't be Superman, you're black. And that was the first time someone had ever said that to me. And you know, you're saying that my parents growing up, I'm a suburb kid. I was never, like I tell people, my life's views are different from a kid who's in urban inner city. I was not born in inner city. I'm a suburb kid. My dad was a pastor. I grew up in a different type of home lifestyle. My father is conservative, but my mother is more liberal.
Right.
You know, she wasn't on us as a lot, but she would take us to the library, and she was the one who actually got me into comics. I went to my first comic. My mom took me to my first comics, and my first comic that I bought was Captain America. The reason why I bought it because I liked Falcon, because that was his sidekick, and you know that was the only guy that we could see. And of course, you know, Black Panther came in. I like Black Panther, but there's two characters that I like. There's two characters that I like. One, I feel DC has not done him justice, and that's Firestorm. Firestorm is an amazing dude. It's amazing if you put it together. They really worked it. And then my other one is Ghost Rider. I love Ghost Rider, period.
Yeah.
I'm a Ghost Rider fan, and I also love the Swamp Thing. Those, you know, me and my brothers, we grew up on horror. The Blob,
right?
Dracula, Frankenstein, The Bride of Frankenstein. You know, all the scary movies you could probably think of. We watched them on a black and white screen.
Right.
And, you know, we're sitting there watching it. And, you know, if the thing broke, you get pliers and you just like,
do
this. And
there's simple fixes that you can't do anymore.
And it's funny because I tell my kids I had a black and white, and they're looking at me like, you had what? What? You had a black and white? I said, yes, I had. Your father had a black and white television. They don't understand.
I mean, most kids today, you just tell them that you're older than Google, and they just look at you crossways. So what? Google? Them? Like, oh yeah, way older than Google. Unfortunately.
Exactly. So,
but
you know, that's kind of how my life. That's kind of how my life started. You know.
Right. I mean, but those are good. Those are actually good. Characters first off to pull from, but even when now it's a different kind of ball game now with kids and what they have available to them and just the immediacy, And now that comics and anime, especially when I go to Comic Cons, I'm always so amazed at what characters these kids come through the door in their cosplays. Because none of them, barely any of them, are like, hey, let's go to the stop at the, Halloween costume shop and this is going to be your cosplay. No, no, no. Like these are like handmade, outfits.
Yeah.
I saw one person in a Mecha Godzilla outfit. At, I believe it was Ocean City Comic Con. It's fantastic. They were walking around like that all day, and it was just the level of fandom with comics, especially. That's why you spend that big money for that picture behind you, because you want somebody to show up dressed as yep.
And I told someone, I said, I would love to see
Oh yeah.
someone dress up as
man.
Deathblade. That would be because I had someone on our Instagram said I would love to dress as Deathblade or even M. M and
M has a lot more, a lot less, I would say. See, both of them would be hard costumes to make. I wouldn't shit on anybody's costume for, if you chose to make them, because even M, there's a lot of, you're going to get real good at sewing or at the machine. Nobody probably
I don't know
sews traditionally anymore. I don't know.
I don't know if you notice it or not, and I tell people that my references to certain people that I idolized growing up. His suit is actually similar to Evel Knievel.
Yes. Okay. Yep. Oh man,
That's
Evel Knievel.
Yeah,
Ooh.
Evel Knievel is kind of his suit, kind of like built. It's kind of made, and I have to give Chital and I have to give Aline credit, because when we first did it, his first suit was never like that.
Okay.
And so we were trying to figure out how to do it. The diamond is called the Diamond of Dumar. And what that does is it actually stops magic and energy. So if someone's trying to hit him full speed, they slow down. So by the time they slow down, he's already hit you with 20, 50, whatever.
Right.
And of course, he jumps in and out.
Okay.
Like Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
But the difference is he can actually see where he's going. He already knows what you're doing.
Okay.
Like Warrior Nun, like if you've seen that, it's kind of like this. He can come in and then he gets shot up and then he goes back out and then his shirt is messed up, but he's healed. When he comes back out, he's coming with bad intentions.
Oh yeah.
Like you saw there, he's coming with bad intentions. So people are going to see him get shot. And this character this mysterious character, they're going to see a lot about him, and I'm excited for him as well. All the characters, as you can see, they all have their quirkiness. They all have their, you see what's important to them.
Yeah.
You see that Ambrose's wife, she's a powerful woman. She's a lawyer. She's big time, but she cares. You see that she submits to her husband. She cares about her husband. She's in his corner. She's going to protect him at all costs.
Yeah.
So, and she don't care about if this guy is a billionaire. You're not Ambrose. You're not her man. That's how we wanted people to see that relationship between them.
Adding quirkiness is important to the characters, because it helps people relate to those people when they're not perfect. They're not Lois Lane. They're not Clark Kent. They are real people that you're adding in there. Especially when I write, I love to just write. That somebody doesn't do something perfect. They knock something over. Why? Because that's what people do. We knock shit over all the time. I ruined a mixing board because I knocked it over. So I love adding in that realism and adding in that quirkiness, because I feel like that's exactly what people do. I should be able to knock the coffee over and then bash somebody in the head if I'm a spy, because that's improvisation. Adding that in there in your own writing is really what I think draws people in, because then they don't know what you're going to do next, because then it's a lot like life. These people can do anything, and it
Right. And
brings
that's what
them to life more.
right. And that's what we want to do. That's what we want to accomplish with the book. And I feel that, you know, you you know, read the book, you can see what we were looking to do. And there's some things that you're not sure what we're trying to do, but you're thinking like, okay, what are they going to do? What they get up their sleeve?
Yeah.
And if I told someone, you know, I want that moment with you. That once you read our book, you're sitting there reading it, a comic book, let's say 15, 20, 30 minutes, you're reading it, you're spending that time. If I got you for that much time, I got you.
Yeah.
I've accomplished everything that I could ever dream of accomplishing. Because if I got that and you're reading the 30 books, you're going to say, hey guys, you better go get this Deathblade book. This book is fire.
I mean,
You need to read it.
I know I'm going to be saying that. I mean,
Yeah,
as soon as I read
you
it, I was like, oh, I have to send this out. I need to let everybody know this is going to be one of those comics that you're going to be very happy that you got in at the ground floor and you get to see this, because that's one of the best things. I'll never forget. It was one of the moments I knew I was a comic book fan. I was selling cars at the time, and I was in the bathroom because it was a slow day. That's what you do. And I was reading over a comic, and it was The Walking Dead, and all of a sudden I got to the death of Glenn, and I practically had a panic attack in the fucking bathroom. I'm like, no, not Glenn!
Yeah, that was, and then watch it live on when they did the show, that was like heartbroken. I've never seen people like just lose it. Just the same thing that happened with the last Amongst Us, when they killed Joel off. I mean, like, we all knew it was going to happen, but for him to die like that, that's just kind of like.
It's one of the times when I loved being a nerd, was when I got caught up over the show, and I got caught up to even to where they're at, like where they were at. I think not too long ago. I was like, oh, you guys are there now? Oh, okay, that's cool. But I got there, and my friends would be like, oh my God, I love Glenn. I'd be like, just wait. But you would be like, I imagine it's a lot like if you could actually predict the future. I imagine it's what like clairvoyance feels like, because you know exactly what's going to happen. You're like, oh my God, I can't wait. Be like, next week is not going to be good for you.
Right.
Because they're going to take it in a different way of the comic, but that was the best part about it, because you knew they were hitting the key moments at least as best they could, because they couldn't really cover the governor and Michonne on legal television. That wasn't happening, but we got a good one, I mean, and the baby lived because nobody's killing a baby.
Right.
Not on TV.
And if they did that shows they got some cojones to do it.
Well, Last of Us, they didn't kill a baby, but they had like a dead baby clicker in that one scene, which was creepy enough, how it was just kind of cartwheeling along inside the car.
Yeah.
That was
with Ellie. Yeah, with Ellie. Yeah, that was kind of crazy.
That was like,
crazy.
I would have already shot that gun, but you're a kid. Okay, you're new to this. You're new to this.
That's true. I tell people I played the game. I'm very familiar with it, but that lets me know those writers really relate to the game. They understood it. They did some changes.
Yeah.
They did some changes to it. But that's the type of writer that we are, that people are going to see from Skull Valley Comics. They're going to see that we really take our comics serious. I look at Valiant Comics. When they first came out, they were just like popping. I don't know if they're still doing that as much.
Right.
But one of the things I've taken a look at how their approach is. I've looked at Marvel with their art, DC, not so much with the art, but it's their character development and how they relate within their comic books.
Yeah.
So I wanted to take all those and I wanted to ball them up and create Skull Valley Comics. I wanted to put that in Deathblade. I wanted to be able to build a story that people be captivated with. And it was funny because I had one of the ladies who read the book. She she doesn't trust MJ.
Yeah.
Now that's coming from a woman that said she does not trust her, and like I'm sitting there like really. I'm sitting there like wow, I was like wow. I said, well, you got me blown away on that one.
I didn't
But
get that. Me
I didn't get
myself. I
that, but
mean, you know,
women intuition. So I was like, you're good. You're good. But if people ask me what kept me up at night, it wasn't so much the project or anything. It was after all was said and done was how you guys reading it, what was going to be your response.
yeah.
To me, that was more important.
Hmm.
And we haven't got a bad response.
Well, that's a good
People like
sign because I was about to say if you do get a bad response, don't listen to them because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. But
Yeah, we have not got
it's
a
the
bad
internet.
response.
You'll ultimately by the third comment down, you'll be able to find somebody saying something negative. It's one of
Yeah,
the things that's a guaranteed rule in the universe by now.
and that's
But
okay. I mean, that's okay. I mean, you're not going to hurt my feelings because at the end of the day, like I told people, I'm not writing for Edward Brown.
yeah.
I'm writing because I'm giving back to my community.
Hmm.
I'm giving back. I'm sharing my knowledge. I'm sharing my experiences. You know, um, People kind of get a feel that this is a 80s, 90 type book with a mix of modern
Hmm.
kind of look to it. Switchblade, which if you're familiar with that book, people feel is kind of like that.
Hmm.
I can kind of see that, but it's a lot more tell to it. Um, but you know, our goal is to grow organically.
Yeah.
Yes, I would love to be like Transformers on Kickstarter, $2 million. I would love that, but you know what
Yeah,
though?
who wouldn't? You know.
But no, but you know what though? But you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
You got to start somewhere, and people are starting to see us.
Hmm.
And once they see us, then that's how word gets out. And then they say, hey, let me read this comic. And I understand the medium has changed a little bit. The comic books are big. You still, animation is good. Motion comics is just it's animation, but it's
Hmm.
a different type of animation is good as well.
Oh yeah.
Um, and the next one we're doing an audio book, and the next one it's going to be on our issue 2 one. We're going to do the audiobook will go from 1 to 2.
Excellent. I had that.
So
I had that idea on a. I had that idea myself. It's a great. It's a good idea. Having something to literally have in front of your face while you're going along with the audio adventure. Because myself, I will say this: I am horrible at pronouncing names. If you write a name in a comic, almost guarantee you I'm going to Google how to say it before I say anything on the podcast because I'm going to make sure I'm right. I am horrible at saying names. If I get it right, it's because I've practiced. Like I'm going into a movie audition, I have practiced saying your name thousands of times before, and I'm like, all right, here we go. And even sometimes I get it wrong. Like the first time I met Frank, I was like, all right, and we have Mr. Frank Piercy. He was like, Percy. I was like, son of a bitch. But, that's one of the best things is having that, not crutch, but having that additional layer for someone to have, having the
Yeah.
audio and the comic and then the motion. It's a whole little universe, and it's giving back to the fans in that universe. A lot more immediate than we've seen in the past, like with Marvel. It's taken how many years for us to be unhappy with superhero movies again? So, all right, we kind of pulled the circle on that one. But, the circle will come back around. It'll come back around once the
Yeah.
Russo brothers get involved again.
Yeah.
But, that's where people are going to indie, and especially where you have people like yourself, you have other people like Jim Cantinelli who are going out there. You have X Night, and he has a movie with his comic. There's ways for the indie creator to then not only get their message and their comic and their idea out there, but also expand on it, because the fans will continue to go with you on that journey, you know, and they see you putting this love into it. They're going to tell everybody they know, and the snowball will keep growing on there.
Right. And that was, I think, one of the things a lot of people said when they read the book. They came in with some type of perceived idea. And after they read it, they was like, you guys really put your foot in that one. And they said they did not expect it. Did not expect it. And they said they felt every time they read the book, they felt they was missing something. And that right there lets me know we did our job. We did our job. We did our job.
But that's kind of like that. Well, I didn't like that. I'm gonna have to go watch that again. All right, go right ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. And there's some things that, you know, the spoiler that I always tell people is Deathblade is not one person.
Ooh.
That's all I'm saying. It's not one person.
Oh shit. Okay.
And that doesn't even mean Ambrose is Deathblade.
All right. Well, there goes my theory. All right.
Don't even. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
All
It doesn't mean that, but it also doesn't mean that, like I tell people, you're seeing the first part of Deathblade from, you know, back in time. You're seeing that, but that's, you know, who is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, those are things that we want you guys to kind of bug you out a little bit. And we did it on purpose. Yeah. We like to play. Yeah, we like to play with your minds. You know, I like to put my hand in your head and just play with it. You know, Pearl. You know, my mom said, I was in church and this girl had beautiful hair, and I would just put my hand in her hair. I would never pull it. I would just do this. But if my mother's hair, I would pull her hair. My mom had long hair, had nice hair, and I would pull her hair. And she said, "You never pull that little girl's hair. You just play with it." So you know, my thing is just, we just want to play with you. We want to set you on a course that you think that you know you're going on, and then you realize, oh shoot, I'm in the Atlantic Ocean. How did I just jump from, you know, Hudson Bay and I'm out here? You know what I'm saying? Those are type of things that we're looking to do. And we're just, you know, I'm just excited that you enjoyed the book. That let me know I did my job. And like I tell people, I'm not in it to get rich. That's not what I'm about. I'm in it because I love what I do. Yeah. And I love telling stories. And I feel that I'm, you know, giving back to readers like me. And one of the things that I found is being a creator, being an avid reader is different than being a reader to being a creator.
Yeah.
It's very different. You know, I think sometimes as creators, we like to see our own tunnels.
Yeah.
And, you know, we don't listen to anybody else.
I'm guilty of that myself so much. Oh my God. I'll just
try to laugh.
Yeah. And then I'm just like, I'm not doing anything of what you're saying.
Yeah. It's and, you know, one of the things about this team with Chuck Pinall and Brian, Aleem, you know, Philip and Emmanuel, you know, there's no yes men among me. Because if I had yes men, you wouldn't, this book that you got, you will never receive this type of book.
Yeah.
I'm keeping it 100. I'm keeping it 100. I'm keeping it a buck. It would have never been. I don't believe in yes men.
Well, especially with writing.
Yes man.
Especially with writing, because you know, it's not improv. It's not yes and. This is we're trying to make a good story, and if it's just like, oh yeah, that's not the right attitude to have. To say, well, what if we did this, and you know, go for your idea and not just back down. Like, nah, man, I think it would be better if we did this in the comic, and then it gets in, and then people say, oh, this was my favorite part. That's the thing that, you know, all right, we're doing this right.
Right. There's been, like I said, times we all argued Like I remember when Chuck came in and Chuck Fidel came in our group as editor. And he saw we were going back and forth. We were going hard. He's like, "Well, I think I should do this." And I'm like, "No, I don't think so." This, but at the end of the day, we all agreed. Said, "You know what? That makes total sense."
Mm-hmm.
Because there's been some things where I would tell them, like, "God, I think that's a great idea. I think we should do it." They'd be like, "No, yeah, that's kind of whack." Now, most creators probably be pissed, but I'm not that type of person because it's not about me. It's about this guy back here.
Yes.
So if it's going to benefit him in any way, because sometimes you don't want something bad.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want your readers to get something bad that your team didn't agree with, because they'd be like, wait a minute, what happened here? And then you just dropped. Because you see it, I see it all the time. I see it in books, I see it in films, I see it in TV. You'd be like, well, what in the world were they thinking? It was good, then all of a sudden be like, hold on, they lost me for a second. What? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. There's sometimes
so
I have to. I'm watching something on my computer. I got to pause it. I'm like, hang on a second. Hang on here. Well, let me go back here. Did I miss something?
yeah, exactly.
What
That don't
happened?
even make sense. You'd
Yeah.
be like, what? Be like, okay, all right, okay, cool. But that's one of the things that I have to uh give my team. You know, these guys really put the time in, and everyone got a chance to cook.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone got a chance to shine, and we were able to put the pieces together. And one of the things that you noticed, we didn't just throw up on a table. It flowed, it balanced, it you know, we were able to give the action, the meat of the story, and then we leave you with your tongue out your mouth, thinking,
Yeah.
okay, I'm ready. But you gotta wait for issue 2 and 3. So that's,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, that's the goal that we wanted to bring to the table. And um, you know, definitely have people care about these characters. The beast that you see, Deathblade fighting, that's the Night Creed. That's the Elantari, that's the flying one, the Elantari. Then the one you saw on the ground, that's the Amalus. Uh, Very dangerous. He bites, just the saliva can burn your skin. It's poison.
Ooh.
They are actually henchmen for the creatures of the night. The daughters of Yasmin created. These are former knights, so they're old as dirt.
Ah.
They
Okay.
fought evil, so they succumbed to evil and they turned him into Night Creed. But they
Okay.
protected the the monsters of the night, monsters of the and creatures of the dark, creatures of the shadow.
Right.
That's what their job is. They're they can turn to humans and then they turn to these beasts. And they're not easy to get killed. You can't kill them. You can kill them, but it's not like a human's going to go there and be like, oh, yeah, let me shoot them all up. He can take
Yeah.
bullets. You're going to take a lot of bullets to kill him.
Okay. That's but
Right.
that's it's a nice layer to have in there that not just any people. Oh shit! Then he got hit by a bus. Oh, a bus killed him. Like, oh,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. So it's kind of like we wanted to do something, and then also something that is not in the book, but it will be. Uh, Humans, these creatures of the night, they don't call them humans. They call them um, crosswinds. And there's a reason why they call them crosswinds. Humans crosswinds is because a human can either be for you, against you, or in the middle. So they're indecisive. So they call them crosswinds.
Ah, okay.
So the crosswinds, they cannot be trusted. So if you hear that, that's what that's what they're replying to. And then, of course, the different factions, the vampires, you had the werewolves, you have the Jumos, and then you have the Canes, and then you have the Lighters. The Canes are their family is the bearer that resembles Deathblade is a Cane.
Okay.
So that's where that comes from. The Canes, in the Great War, uh, between evil and good, uh, they made a pact with a demon to kill evil, but they were tricked.
Okay.
And so their family, evil draws to them, and dark evil, and they have special powers, special, abilities, but they kill evil, period. So people will learn a little bit more about them. With the pact, they all agreed that they will not kill each other, so certain powers are down. So no one knows what's, the vampires, they can't go out during the day,
Mm-hmm.
werewolves during night, and they can't kill each other. They can't fight each other.
Okay.
And if they do, there's a group called the Servians that they created that keeps the pack.
Okay.
So as they keep
Law
the
and
pack,
order.
so yeah, they keep the law and order. So if you do something, a Servian has the powers of all the factions.
Ooh.
So they will come down on you and they will, do damage. So we'll share a little bit more on this pack. And this is why I'm telling people, you don't, you're looking at something, don't think that it is what you think it is. It's something totally different.
Well, that's the best thing to have, especially on a issue one, for people to really sink their teeth into and then gestate on and just form their own theories and see if they're right. Because that's one of the best things, especially when you're in ground one and you have your own theories. It's like having your own, your own personal show. It's going off in your head and you're seeing all these actions. You know the characters and you can't predict where they're going just because of how well you have the story written. And that's where it shows.
Right, you got the royal family, which is the vampires, and then of course, um, you're going to see other things that are going to play a role in the different factions. The Brotherhood of the Light. You got the Daughters of Yasmin. Um, there's a lot going on, and the first part, we wanted to set the pace a little bit. And, first books, at first, I'll be honest with you, at first, we weren't going to even show Deathblade.
Okay. Sort of
We
a
weren't
don't
even going to
show the
show.
monster kind of thing. All right.
Yeah, we weren't going to show him, but then we realized we couldn't get away with that. He's like, no, that's not going to happen. We can't get away with that. And we figured, the story, we figured how to do it. And you guys saw how we did it. And so to the fans out there, it's a doozy.
I think the fans are really going to love this one, and they have their chance now to go out and help support it.
Yeah,
Be one of these
definitely
people
Kickstarter.
to get it all the way up to the top of their goals on Kickstarter because, there's stuff planned even outside of the amazing 3D figures and the stretch goals of the additional comics being unlocked. There's the other stuff, the wristbands, the stickers, the mouse pads, the trading cards, and a mystery award at 10K. So I think we can get them up there because it's a great project that deserves to, have the biggest reception that we can. Grab around this awesome idea because this is one of the things to where this is the reason why you go to Kickstarter, fans, so you can get on ground floor on an idea like this. Because this is where even, one of the people we have on all the time from the Heroic Awards, Richard Dury, this is why he goes on to Kickstarter and stuff, and he'll back, these Kickstarters because the great idea, cool. It's a good bit of a collectible for the person who wants to help make the idea, but also you're getting a great product, and it's going to be something that you're going to keep going back to this well.
Right. So, and again, man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Tell Frank next time.
Absolutely. Next
Tell him
time,
next
you're
time.
always welcome on. And next time, I
Yeah.
will have Frank on. We'll work out his
Yeah.
technical issues.
Yeah, definitely. But thanks for having us. But anyone who's watching this, like he says, go to the Kickstarter. We got 72 backers. Our goal is to get 100 backers or more. Definitely come out, support us. Um, as you can see here, the book is for real, folks. This book is no joke. It's um, it's a book of passion. It's a book of love. It's a book of action. It's a book of pain, suspense, everything that you could, every emotion you could go through. You're gonna go through that roller coaster ride, and then at the end of it, you're gonna be like, "I want to get back on again."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I want to get back on again. So, you know, thanks again for having me. And before I go, there is a tier that I do want to talk about. It is the troop comic for troops, and that's
Yeah.
$50. Is really you're buying a book for yourself, and then you're buying a book for a soldier
That's
overseas.
awesome.
And I'm asking anyone if, I have a lot of family members that have served in the service. This is my way of giving back to them. And yes, our soldiers are out protecting our country and servicing us. They're
Yeah.
protecting us. And so I'm asking for those out there, please support our soldiers, support this tier. So every book that this tier is purchased, we will take those books and we will send them to the Troops for Comics.
That's an awesome cause, especially for the troops. Keep the troops entertained. They're out there, sacrificing their time and sweat and tears and lives so that we can live the American dream, putting out amazing products like this.
That's right.
And
yeah. And also, I forgot to say, folks, this is an M17 book, okay? Don't give this to your kids.
yeah, we should also definitely put that out there before you go popping it in your kids' stockings there. So you're like, damn, Dad really loves me.
I can't do that. No, this is an M17 book. It's blood, it's gory, it's sex. It's, there's sex situation, but one of the things that we realize that humans are sexual in nature, creatures are sexual in nature. So you're going to see that within our story, but it's not going to be something that's crazy. It's, one of the things that we realize, we're not going to use sex as a ploy to sell our book. If it's not part of the story, it's not going to be there.
Yeah, there's a lot of that fan service, people say, but there is a lot of that sex fan service out there, and it is refreshing when it's not overtly grotesque and it's not, beat over your head, and it's, okay, I can see why this is in the page. I can see why this is drawn, because this is a tender moment. This is something that it is, especially if you want to look at it, these two characters are naked. They're being naked in that moment with each other. It's very raw and passionate and real. That's why you have that scene in there. So I completely see. And that's why definitely keep it away from the kiddos, but the young adults and above, this is definitely a title that everybody's going to love and everybody's going to want to be involved on.
And, we didn't show it in the Kickstarter. We didn't feel that it needed to be shown. And, it wasn't something that we felt was major. We felt it was something that adults will understand, the relationship between a man and his wife. Yeah. Husband and a wife. And they will understand that. So that's how we took it.
And that's how everybody should take it, as well as they get it in from the mail from this fresh, nice, hot Kickstarter. And we want everybody to go out there. Details down below in the description so you can hop onto Kickstarter and get your copy today. Absolutely loved having you on, Ed. And like I said, you are always welcome back on. Next time we'll work out the technical issues with Frank. But I always like to end off this podcast the same damn way, gang. And that's that we love you, we miss you, and we want to see you next hunt. Until then, game on, boys and girls. Bye-bye.
Bye.